Hey, I'm Alex from BoardGameCo, and today we're doing a video looking back on 2020. Now this is a video that we're not just doing by myself. I'm doing this together with BoardGameCoffee. In fact, it was their idea. We have BoardGameCoffee with us today. Mark and Brittany are here, and this is, in fact, you're actually, now that I think about it, you're in the wrong place because, strictly speaking, you should head on over to their channel right now. There'll be a link down below where we already did part 1, and if you want to know things like, I don't know, which games we planned on playing in 2020 and we just sadly never got to the table, that's where you're going to have to go to get that. But I'll pause, I'll give you a second. That was a fun video. I'm glad you enjoyed. Now, so hopefully you had fun with it. And now that you've gotten those 5 out of the way, you can head on over here. Mark, Brittany, you want to say hi to everyone?
Hi.
Great. Hey.
Yeah,
Sorry,
the timing of that was excellent. I waited till you were like halfway through your drink, and I'm like, say hi to everyone, Mark.
You're like, he's getting thirsty.
You're like,
Now.
Yeah. Perfect. So with that perfect timing, and I honestly, in hindsight, I kind of think I kind of wish I would have done that intentionally, but it was just a happy coincidence. But to start off, so this is a video where we're looking, and they said, like I said already, this is your idea. Basically, BoardGameCoffee said, hey, let's do a looking back in 2020 video, and I thought that was a good idea. It's a little bit different than all the top 10 lists that you see all over the place on every number of channel. This one's slightly different, a little bit more interesting, a little bit of variety of questions and whatnot. And starting off, the very first question is going to be, Mark, Brittany, what is the best game, either separately or together, you're allowed to do that, what is the best game of 2020 for you?
We agreed on this one.
We did. We agreed on this one.
Oh my! You could have so many excuses. Yeah, seriously.
Brittany, you want to do the honors?
Tekken.
We love Tekken.
Tekken. Oh my gosh, that is very much
so
on
good.
my need to play list. The T
Tekkenu's
series
so
in
good.
general. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, all the T words you can't pronounce. Tekken is well, at least I can't.
Took
took me a while to get to
Tzolk'in, Tekken. They announced the most recent one. I don't remember what it was, but they announced the newest one coming out soon.
Oh.
Yeah,
well,
it's-
we need to play that.
It's we got introduced to Tekken by actually David Waybright from Man vs. Meeple, and
nice.
yeah, so he's like, hey, have you played Tekken? We're like, no. All I asked him was like, oh, is that the one with the thing?
With the thing, it has the thing.
the obelisk.
The obelisk, yeah.
The obelisk. And
It's probably obelisk. Never trust me.
I'm going with obelisk. That's what I've been calling it. Anyways, but yeah, he's like, it's on Tabletopia. I can teach you how to play if you want. So we were like, yeah, sure, yeah, let's do it. So he taught us how to play and thrashed us. But I loved it like right away. We couldn't get our hands on this game fast enough, and it was a game that actually stayed on our table a while because this is when lockdown was letting up.
Yeah.
So we were inviting people over to like, hey, let's play Tekken. Let's play Tekken. The teach on it's a bit long. It's a bit long. Because Tekken is like,
It's a heavy
if you've ever
Euro
played-
game. Yeah.
It is, but each section is very simple. It's just there's 6 simple sections that all tie together because it's like 6 little mini games.
And then there's options within each. Like there's different things that you're doing.
Well,
so.
yeah, it's because like you want to take dice to worship this god here or this god here, and they all have different. Like this one, you get to place statues around the map, and over here you're building like columns to do something.
Stuff.
And
To do stuff.
yeah, and down below there's a bunch of cards. There's like a card market you
You're
can buy to
building
give
your
you
population and
superpowers.
your
Yeah, you can increase your
happiness
population's
and, yeah.
happiness. And I still have to, granted, like, we had the rules pretty down, and but I still follow the back of the rule book. I think it's the back where they have these steps of like, this is the phase you're doing, this is the phase you're doing, this is the phase, because within the phases we know what we're doing, but just don't want to skip it because
But
there's like a
it's
scoring
individual.
phase somewhere in the middle,
Yeah.
and then there's like a reset your die, and then there's another scoring phase, but we absolutely loved it. I can't get enough of Tekken. I want to kind of play
I
it
want to
right
play
now. Like just talking
So
about it.
There are some of these heavy Euro games, and this goes back to something we talked about in part 1 of the series about the nature of how COVID has changed, lockdown in general has changed the way we game. And I would say that right now, the game group we currently have, the limited subset of people, for the most part, we have both, but there's one particular person in our miniature group that is not as heavily into these deep Euros. They're more into the area control, fighting, powers, abilities, and all that. And so I have like a backlog of Euros. Tekkenu, Tawantasu, other games that I'm not thinking of offhand, but other Euros that just haven't unfortunately hit the table because of the nature of our current game group. But I really want to play that game badly.
You gotta slip it in there and refer to the dice as warriors.
I can do that.
And just start there.
I'll start there. No, they actually like Coinbro, which is a heavy Euro. It's one of the exceptions for them. But that's awesome. So for me, my best game of 2020 is going to be Under Falling Skies by CGE. Have you played this yet?
We have not.
Oh, so Under Falling Skies, going back to another conversation from our other video. I'm glad everyone took the break and made sure to watch your video first, because otherwise they'd have no context what's going on here. But you talked about solo gaming, and Under Falling Skies, I recommend giving that one a shot for solo gaming. You could play it cooperatively, but effectively cooperatively is just two players deciding things together as a solo team. But it is such a fun little dice rolling game in which you're rolling dice that will both drive these spaceships for towards your base and ultimately try to kill you. But the higher the die value, the better the die is for your abilities, generating energy, researching how to kill the aliens, shooting down ships, all that. So higher dice are better, but higher dice also move the aliens faster. And so you have to assign them to right locations in the perfect combination of how to drive people forward, drive the aliens forward, and then slowly take them out when the right opportunity approaches. It's a very fun little puzzly game of how to just survive round to round. They have a little campaign baked in, so just when you think things are getting a little boring, they keep introducing new elements to mix it up. I've played, I think, one of the 4 campaigns in the box, and I still haven't felt the need to keep deep diving because it's just so much fun. It's a little fun solo puzzle that is immensely rewarding by CGE, and almost a complete surprise for me as well. It was one that I was actually reaching out to them for a different game, for Lost Ruins of Arnak, and they're like, oh, here's Under Falling Skies 2. Can you review that? I was like, sure, I'll do it. And I like both games, but it was a solid game for me.
You know, I just realized listening to you is I noticed we have Tekkenu right there.
I noticed earlier.
It was sitting there. I forgot we put it there.
It's
that
perfectly
sounds
placed.
That sounds it sounds great.
I think you would really like it.
You've done a great job.
Yes.
All right,
get
well,
it.
we'll check that out. We'll put it on our list. I gotta put a board game order in actually.
Yeah,
to replace
just
some
be your excuse.
Double Christmas gifts I got, but definitely give that a go. It's got so many good things.
Too. You've pushed it up my list. Whenever people talk about the games that they love and I have them on my shelf unplayed, they get bumped up some notches. So, question number 2, going from the best game of 2020, what is your biggest disappointment of 2020 in terms of games? Because if we don't go past games, there's any number of answers.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We have 2 answers for this one. Now, this one we have 2 disappointments. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
You go ahead, and
Okay.
I agree with yours.
Okay.
These 2 were both on my list.
She just has one
but
that's
I couldn't
worse.
pick.
Well, no. Well, the one she has is come up before, but we'll talk about it later when I gets to it. But for me, it's Tang Garden.
Ooh.
You're
not the only person
I've
I've heard say that.
It's a beautiful game on the table, but it seems like an overdeveloped what's the tile? It was like
Carcassonne?
Carcassonne? Yeah.
Carcassonne.
Yeah, it's like an overdeveloped Carcassonne. And I was like, I can't wait to play this. And
So pretty.
there was something about it that really turned me off. And I'm trying, because it's been a while.
It was the card deck.
Was it?
Well, here, it's the expansions. When you start mixing in expansions, I think we played it quite a bit when we first got it, like right away. It's one of the few Kickstarters that came to our table, and we're like, I got to play this right away because it looks so good.
And it looks so accessible and easy and pretty.
And we brought it out and we played it. I was like, hey, it's not bad. It's not bad. Let's try with some of the expansions. And then that's when I really started to it started to irk me because the expansions, it was like, oh, you have to switch these cards out for these cards. And once you start getting into all the expansions,
I hate when games do that.
I don't think I think what my issue was, I don't think there's an indicator on the card. Like if you play Terraforming Mars, there's like, hey, a triangle for this set, a square for this set, a circle for this set. There's a little indicator on the corner of the card so you know where the sets go. But in this one, it's hard to tell where the things came from and which set. So I'm like, I have to go through like the table of contents to put this stuff away and setting it up right. And I'm like, okay, these cards aren't supposed to be in here, but these are supposed to be in here. And I thought the expansions, the additions of the expansions were messy, and it was messy adding to a game that I didn't think was
needed.
Like I liked Carcassonne way better. It's
Yeah.
a lot prettier than Carcassonne, but I like Carcassonne way better.
Yeah, you're
And
definitely
I
the
thought
first person I've heard say things about Tang Garden. I doesn't seem that anyone hates it. It just seems people think it's a lot of people seem to
There,
think it's overproduced and okay.
yeah,
there's so many other games with the
it's
limited time that we have that I'd rather have
for
to
the
the table.
price, play Carcassonne. Like, and here's the thing: is it's the first Kickstarter that we played. That was, I looked at Brittany. I was like, you know what? I'm okay to sell this. Like, I have a hard time getting rid of games, but I was like, I'm cool to sell this. Like, if I don't ever play this again, I'm okay. Which is disappointing because it was so pretty. I was so looking forward to it, and it let me
It
down. It
hurts.
let me
It
down.
hurts. So I think I'll jump in and let Brittany go
Yeah,
last
yeah, yeah,
after I
Yeah.
just have the
yeah, yeah.
intermission. I'm going to jump straight to my own Kickstarter disappointment that also looks pretty. That's also okay and not bad, but also just a disappointment from what I wanted, which is going to be Reichbusters by Mythic Games. Reichbusters is one that I got that one because it looked like more Zombicide type stuffy, but with like the miniatures looked amazing. This whole stealth mechanic looked intriguing. It just looked like fun. The video they did for that Kickstarter pulled me in. This hybrid of CGI to game shifting back and forth. I was completely sold. And then it arrived and it was okay. It's not a bad game. People like it, but I'm just someone who I felt that it just took a system that I like of moving people around, rolling dice, attacking stuff, blowing things up, and then it made it overly convoluted in terms of the number of stealth checks you're doing for every little thing, in terms of the equipment that's loaded with tons of equipment that you have to constantly reference the rulebook to know what it does because it just hopes that you remember that this symbol is a grenade and the grenade works like that. It was cluttered with a lot of small dings. I think Rackbusters is primed for like a season 2 kind of Rackbusters, where the same way Zombicide's gone through like 5 iterations. I'm down for a future iteration of Rackbusters. I think it's a solid system, but the game they gave me was pretty to no end, and just an inferior version of the types of games I already like. And so I sadly got rid of it. I will actually pay attention to a Rackbusters season 2 or 3 or 4, but for this then I had to move on.
Well, that game specifically, I remember watching the Kickstarter and I was like, "Ooh, this looks good. This looks good."
Yeah.
Like it had this like badass, just like over the top action movie. Like I was thinking like
Yes.
Commando or something. You know, like those just over the top. And but then I was watching the trailer. I was just impressed with it as you were. I was like, "Ooh," but then something about it was like, I think I'm being sold a trailer. And
Well,
I was
it's
like,
Kickstarter. You're being sold
and
a
I was like,
trailer,
yeah,
miniatures.
I know, but I was like, you know what? I was like, no, I didn't get it. I didn't fall into it, the trap. Although it's got everything. If you describe that game to me, I'd be like, sold. But
That's my
something about
problem. I think it
something
has a
about that
solid.
Kickstarter page.
So, like, I've played it. I have played it, and I really do think it's a solid system. I think that if they iterated upon it, it could be an incredible game for me. I do know people like it in its current state, so they may end up not iterating upon it. That's the problem. They may tweak a few things that I didn't like, but I think it needs a little bit more than a few small tweaks. It needs a little bit more of some larger shifts in how the game works. But with a core system that I did enjoy it. I played it like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, maybe 3, 4 times. I played it, and I enjoyed each game, but I enjoyed it in its own little universe and not in comparison to I could be playing Cthulhu Death May Die, I could be playing Zombicide, I could be playing something else. And as soon as you have that I could be playing, that's where games fail for me. And this was just one that, again, solid game, but I was so excited about it that it became my biggest disappointment, just in contrast versus what I wanted from it versus where it was.
I want to play the game, but as of now, I do not want to own it. I just want to try
Yeah.
it, and then just back away. Speaking
It's
of
funny. I saw a funny comment on a solo Facebook group that someone said, "Oh, Rackwesters was voted by the people their favorite solo game," and someone else replied, "Isn't that not really a solo game? You just could play it solo." And someone says, "No, no, no, it's solo because all your friends watch the reviews of it." And I was like, "Oh, oh no, that was mean." But there's mixed reviews. There's people like myself who wanted something more and wanted something better, and there are people who are very happy with it. So it really is a mixed kind of crowd.
All right, Britt, what is your disappointment?
So mine was Night of the Living Dead from Simon.
Ooh, which is right behind me on that shelf.
Yeah.
Nope, one of these sides. Yeah, somewhere
And
there.
I think I echo you a little bit where I had just had so much expectations for these games and it didn't meet it. And I love
Yeah.
the theme. I still think it's a great game. Like it's not a bad game by any means. It just was a
in
disappointment
comparison.
for me because we've played so many Zombicide games and I just felt like it wasn't at the same, like we had to intensify the
Yeah.
level just to get it
Yep.
at an okay base, but it still was slightly easy for us.
Yeah, like
Um,
we started
that was disappointing.
like I after we played quite a bit, and I was like, this game's ridiculous. Like we're flying through this, and it's so easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy. Like if you played any of the other zombie sides, we're like, I don't know what's happening. So then I read through the rule book again, just making sure we're not doing anything wrong. And then
Yep.
in the back, there's this alternate like how to make it harder. I was like, all right, we're doing this right away. And even then, it was just like, well, that was all right. That was better. It made it better. It definitely made it better, but it never made it hard. Like if you
Nice.
put, it's not,
Yeah.
it's no harder than any
You
zombie
don't
side.
get that, oh my god, you know, I
How
opened
we're
up the
being
door, there's a
survived.
whole bunch
Yeah.
Yeah.
like how are we going to get through this, like let's work through our moves. It was like the board was always empty because we killed them
I think-
easily.
And
I think
that's
the
the
best
best
game
part
we had
of
from-
Zombicide, those working
It-
through those
right?
moves of
Yeah.
sitting there like you're like, okay, there's two of you seem to have a crowd of zombies on both sides. If we approach up this alley, maybe we can take out those runners before they get to you. But no one has
Yeah.
a two weapon,
Bang
so you have
on.
to move fast.
Yeah.
Like it's all about that puzzle. It's all about trying to manage it. That when you have a
Exactly.
game where you're clearing rooms, you're like, this is too easy. Let's open a few doors. You want to escalate it. It's like you always want
Yeah.
that tension in the game.
And that's what I feel like the game was lacking a little bit.
I think our
The
best game,
storyline was still fun.
our best game of Zombicide, I think was when we did the playthrough 4.
Yes,
I think that was I think level 1, and we just cranked up the difficulty.
we did.
Because I found level 1 had some of the more interesting things where you have to find wood to board up the doors to keep the zombies out, etc. But then everything else was just, so we played one level where we were like, you know what, we're so close to doing all these campaigns, let's
just
just
skip
crush through the campaigns. No, we were like,
Oh.
because we did like, I think it was, I don't remember if it was number 9, like we got pretty close to the end.
Yeah.
And we were just like walking through that, and we were just like, what are we even doing? Like we're like, well, we're just gonna beat we got to a point where like we can't lose this,
There
let's
was
just
one
stop
level
playing.
that there was like zombies didn't even hit our squares. Like there was no threat. We could just literally walk,
That's a shame.
move.
Yeah,
move,
it was
win.
it was a workaround for like if the tile you leave had zombies on it, you
They just
destroy that
vanish.
tile and the zombies are gone, or it was something like that. I can't remember what it was, but we were just like, we're just walking through this, and it's like it's not technically possible for us to lose, even if they got in our space. It's like it's not going to happen. So we were just like, let's just call it a win and just put this game away.
Yeah, that's a shame. It's a shame. Cooperative games always have to toe that line of when you win, you have to feel like you could have lost, and when you lose, you have to feel like you were so close to winning. And it is a hard line to toe, but many
Yeah.
manage to do it pretty decently. And it's a shame. I mean, I guess they're targeting a different audience, but it's it has its audience, just not, I guess, us. Yeah.
I think you're exactly right. It's targeting a different audience, and it's probably targeting board gamers or people who don't play a lot of board gamers. And it's kind of like
It's
that
entry-level
gateway-
Zombicide.
It's entry level zombie.
It's entry level zombie side.
It's exactly
Hey, if
what
it brings
is.
more
Theme's
people into
still fun.
hobby, then I'm
Then
cool
it's
with
great.
it. But yeah.
And again, it's not a bad game, but it's not
Just
something we would probably
expectations.
bring back to the table anytime soon because we kind of just went through it really
Yeah.
fast. So
So, question number 3. And by the way, let's go through the question. The question is, which publisher is on your radar due to 2020? And before you answer, for all those who didn't take that 10-second gap I gave you to head on to the other video, make sure you head on to the other video, because if you want to find out who our who our new designer based on 2020 was, that's what we talked about in the video. But in this video, publisher, who's on your radar?
All right. Well, publisher, this came at the end of 2020, and they're I think they're fairly.
kind of.
Oh
I mean,
well.
we met them at the beginning of
No,
2020.
no, hold on. This is Brittany's doing. Let me get to. Here's what's happening.
Sure.
Did you
And then I'll work my way
Did you
back.
meet the publisher? Or you just play the game. You didn't meet
Yeah,
them.
we met the
the-
designer.
It was no, we or you.
I did.
Okay, let's get to what's happening here. So,
Okay.
we played Honey Buzz, right?
Ooh. Yes.
Yeah, and we liked
Elf
Honey
Creek
Buzz. And we
Games.
play Honey Buzz. Yeah, Elf Creek Games. That's exactly who I'm going to say is Elf Creek Games, because they did Honey Buzz, and I was like, yeah, I like this, and I was like, Elf Creek Games. I was like, who's Elf Creek Games? Like, have I played anything from Elf Creek Games before? And so then I was like looking into it. I was like, well, there's not that much on their site. Like, they haven't been around that long.
Yep. They're fairly new. They
and-
have like 5 games, maybe 6.
Yeah. So, and they have Atlantis Rising on there, which is a game I've wanted to play. So I was like, I didn't even realize that was theirs. So Elf Creek Games is now on my list because their component quality, because again, I haven't played Atlantis Rising, but their component quality and looks great. And like Honeybuzz,
Beautiful.
like the production quality on that is great. The art on that is amazing. So, and then I saw Atlantis Rising. I was like, okay, you know what? Elf Creek, you got my attention. You got my attention. You and your
So
little
fun
creek.
fact, Honey Buzz, when in the other video, one of the questions we talked about, which I already teased at, is what did you want to play that you never got to? I very heavily debated putting Honey Buzz on that list. The only reason I didn't is because I actually only got Honey Buzz about like 5 days ago. And I was like, well, I can't really have. I mean, it's more than 5 days ago because I got it in 2020. But I got the last few days of 2020, and I was like, I can't put a game that I only had 5 days to play as a game that I wanted to play in 2020. But
Hmm.
it is calling my name. I've heard a lot of good things. People keep saying good things about it. It looks pretty. It's got their production values.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give it a shot.
It's a good game.
Yeah,
We really
it's good.
enjoyed playing it.
We got a review coming up for Honeybuzz soon, actually.
Yeah.
So
Ooh.
keep an eye out for that.
Nice.
So tell us your
Yeah,
backstory.
so Mark's telling me we were going through the list before, just
Oh, right.
preparing.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, I really want to play Atlantis Rising." And
Rising.
I was like, "Oh, I played that." Like just nonchalantly, I played that. What are you talking about? And he's like, "What? No, you haven't." I'm
Where?
like, "Yeah,
When?
we happened to go to a board game event the very beginning of 2020 before everything started getting crazy, and the designer happened to be there. So he was teaching everybody how to play the game, and he was playing another game. So we kind of divided and conquered in regards to trying to learn as many games as
No,
possible.
but conquered. We switched games once, and then for the rest of the night
We
were
just never went
off.
back.
We were just like overlapping. So we're like, well, you're on your own, because it's like the chances of both games, whatever we're playing, lining
Ending
up.
at the
As soon as
same
we
time.
split up,
It never
it
happened.
was over.
So, but we got to play so many games, which was really fun because we're usually playing games together. So it was really fun to kind of talk about all the games we played. So that happened to be one of the games that I had played with the designer, and it was a lot of fun. So it was hard
because we're going through it. And she's
hard,
like, I played
but it was
Atlantis
fun.
Rising. I was like, what? When?
Yeah, Atlantis Rising is a real challenge. There are many aspects I liked about it. I did get rid of it, but I constantly have doubts and want to get it back, especially with the newest Kickstarter. I want to get it back, but I did back Merchants of the Dark Road, and I'm really excited about that one. Yeah. So
you said Atlantis was hard. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, my publisher on my radar from 2020 is going to be one that I touched upon with my best game of Under Falling Skies, which is going to be CGE. CGE, Czech Games Edition, put out 2 games in 2020 that I absolutely loved. Both of them made their way into my top 50, and more than that, I noticed as I was putting together my top 50, I've been slowly doing my top 50 one video at a time, and I noticed as I'm going through it that I have a lot of games in my top 50 that are from CGE. But Lost Ruins of Arnak and Under Falling Skies in 2020, very much they had 2 hits in there that was very solid. And I tend to think of CGE as an older publisher that doesn't really have newer stuff. They have Through the Ages, they have Galaxy Trucker, they have Code Names. But like when you think of recent games, nothing comes to mind immediately. And yet they had 2 hits in 2020 that for me were just an incredible solo game. And Lost Ruins of Arnak, that's another one. If you guys haven't played it, you need to get your hands on a copy of Lost Ruins of Arnak. I don't know exactly what kinds of games you like, but you seem to be omni gamers like myself. You like Euros, you like Ameritrash, you like different stuff. Lost Ruins of Arnak plays great 2-player, by the way. Like it plays well 3, 4, whatever. It has a solo mode as well, but it's a solid 2-player game you can knock out in 45 minutes while you just move up tracks, do a bunch of stuff, get a bunch of stuff, rinse, repeat. The production value is gorgeous. The game is fun and appealing. It's everyone's been going crazy about it, and I am right there with them. It's one of my favorite games as of playing it in 2020, and I just, again, this is the problem with these videos. Talking about it means I want to get to the table again right now.
Yeah, I've seen you talk about Arnak, and
It's so.
and I've heard I feel like everywhere I turn somebody's talking about it, and I've wanted to play it. It's that and Dune Imperium.
Yes.
It's like every channel I turn, that's what everybody's
Yep.
talking about. And Arnak and Dune Imperium.
It's funny being a content creator because sometimes you put out these videos and you're hyped about a game, and then you always get people in the comments being like, "Oh, you're just buying into the buzz or whatever it is." And I love it. I get comments on certain videos from people who are like, "I thought you were just like hyped about it and just hyping people up, but I played it and it's really good. You're right." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know it's really good. Okay, I played it. I tell you games are good when they're good, not just because like there are good games and there are great games, and there's a different way I talk, there's a different way I communicate, there's a different level of attachment I have when I'm talking about a great game. Versus when I say this game is solid, I'm adding it to my collection, we'll see if it's still here in a year. Versus this game is so good, I don't know if this game will ever leave my collection or when it'll leave my collection. Lost Ruins of Arnak is the latter. I do not see it leaving my collection for a long time. I really enjoy it. I want expansions from CG. I want to be very clear with that. I do want expansions as I think it needs more cards because as a deck builder, it needs things to mix it up.
Mm-hmm.
But the core system is incredibly solid as it is.
All right, you
Yep.
sold.
Excellent.
I'm
Get
gonna.
them both.
Yep, I'm getting them, all of it.
So-
Dune and Arnak.
Question number 4. What was your biggest surprise in 2020? And before you answer, I hope you brought 2 answers because I brought 2 answers.
We do kinda. Do we? Yeah,
Sort
we do.
of.
We have two. We have two.
Well,
No, we have two.
if you want to mention the one.
No, we have two. We're good. We have two. All right. So
Do you want us to go first?
we go
Big-
first? Yeah,
no,
sure.
no,
all right.
you can go. You can go. We'll take turns again. We'll go back and forth.
Okay.
All right. So, which one do you want to take? The first or the second on our
The
list
second
there?
one.
Okay. So, and I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say. I can hear it already. I can hear it. But our biggest surprise was Power Rangers. Where's
Well, I mean
face?
that seems legit. No, that's okay.
Yeah, it was because I know we were talking about, like, I've been talking about Power Rangers a lot, but it's for that very reason. It was a huge surprise, right? If I chances are, if I expected Power Rangers to be just like, yeah, of course it's gonna be a good game. It's Power Rangers. It's gonna be an
Wouldn't
awesome
be
game.
on our
Like,
list.
if that was the thing, then I probably wouldn't be talking about it as much because I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, everybody expects it. But thing is, it's Power Rangers, and I didn't like Power Rangers, so when I got a Power Rangers deck building game, I was like, I like deck building games, so it's like, okay, sure, I'll give it a go. I'll pretend they're Ninja Turtles. Like, and thing is, I got the game and we played it, and I was like, this is really good. Like, I read the rule book and I told Brittany, I was like, Brittany, I think you're really gonna like this. And we sat down and played it. And I was like, this feels like Power Rangers. And there's, like, you know, like the good guys and the bad guys play differently. Like, everybody recruits cards from the center, which is the grid, the Morphin grid. But, like, as the good guys, you have the one good guy, and you try to assemble all the Zords to make, like, Megazord or Dragon Super Megazord. I keep forgetting what it's called.
I've
And then
never
those have,
been a
like-
Power Rangers person, so I only half know these
me
things.
neither.
Me either.
I'm 44
Me
years
either.
old. I was never a Power Rangers person, and that's why
That's why it's on this list.
So then when I played it, I was like, this is great. I actually feel like a Power Rangers. Like, I knew enough about Power Rangers to know, like, okay, this is what it is. That's why I knew I didn't like it. I didn't just blindly decide Power Rangers isn't for me. I saw a few episodes and I was like, ugh. But you play it and it's like, wow, I feel like a Power Ranger. This makes sense. And the bad guys have this other, like, the way the bad guys work is when you play with, say, Rita, who's one of the bad guys. She's the
Rita Repulsa.
the main.
I know that much.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There you go. So when you play with her, she's got her abilities, and then every time you recruit a new bad guy from your crew, their abilities stack on yours. So you run down this list of, like, hey, you get an extra card, or hey, you get to do this, you get extra energy, you get all to do this stuff. And it's got these cool mechanics where when you play your card, because it's a deck builder, but you have a character card in the center that represents you. And your character can be equipped with 4 cards. And which cards it can be equipped is color-coded. So some guys have 2 yellow cards in their end and then a blue and a gray, depending which character it is. And when you can either use a card for its resources, which is shards or energy, or equip it to the character so you can use it for its ability. But once you equip it, you're no longer getting that shards and energy. And the thing is, it's the cards that are the best offer the best energy and shards. So you're like, oh,
The
I was
economy
like,
versus
like, yeah. So I was like, oh, it's so good. And they got this thing in it that I really like. Shards is your basic deck building currency. You generate it, you spend as much as you can. Anything you don't spend is gone at the end of your turn. Clear your hand. Energy is interesting because energy carries through from turn to turn, and certain cards trigger off your energy. And you can carry that with you. So you get a little dial that you turn, that you spin, and it tracks how much energy you have, and you can cap out. So the dial tracks your health and your energy, if I'm remembering that correctly. Yeah, and it's a lot of fun, and it got me into reading because the artwork they use looked like it's pulled from the comic book. So it got me reading the comic books, and I'm still reading the comic books. Like, I went through 8 volumes.
Watching,
and it was
I
great.
remember watching your video when you first put it out, and I was like, I mean, you were clearly excited about it. You were like, I'm doing a preview, so my opinion will totally not enter this, except I love it, and then, like, you slam the alarm and turn it on. It was so entertaining to watch, and it made me want to get it even from just that play alone. Now this one isn't actually available to get yet, is it?
No, it's on pre-order. You can
Pre-order.
pre-order it right
Okay,
now.
good. Because I realized in hindsight that both of mine, I probably shouldn't have done this, but both of mine are actually not actually available, but they were my biggest surprises in 2020. But that's the worst.
No.
But yeah, I know. In any case, so
Okay.
my
Go
first
ahead.
one. So I'll jump into my first one. My first one is going to be a game called Velocity Vanguard, which I guess I could say is sort of available to get because it's coming back to Kickstarter, so I guess it's good to talk about. It gives you an opportunity to back it. Velocity Vanguard had a failed Kickstarter in 2020, towards the end of 2020, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and I believe they're coming back in February in 2021, and I had the chance to play it on TTS with the designers. And this is one that it looked like a little gimmick of a game because what they have is it's all about this like space navigation or whatnot, and they have a little like a space board that you have your own personal board where you track a little piece and you move the piece around, and then you're kind of drifting through space. So you're as you move, you're still carrying the drift of wherever you were before. So it's like you have to like think 4 or 5 turns in advance with the movement. And I was like, that looks like a cute little system that I'll probably get bored of as soon as I figure out how to move, and then there's no game left. And then I played it with the designers, and it was so good. And they have things that really mix it up that you can never perfectly learn the system because they have upgrades, they have abilities, they have space combat, they have missiles drifting through space while you're trying to drift around whatever's throwing your way, but then someone else can drop a mine, and so now suddenly you have to re-encounter your whole drift scenario. And then they have different scenarios, they have races, they have combat, they have fighting, they have a scenario where someone's grabbing an artifact and running across the board while 2 other spaceships try to hunt them down, all revolving around this drifting mechanic that yes you do have to learn, yes you have to master, but they give you enough powers, abilities, and different goals and scenarios that like actually just mastering the one trick pony and moving on, it doesn't seem like it would happen anytime soon. And it went from being one that I scrolled on and was like cute gimmick, not getting, to one that I am really excited for and really looking forward to the Kickstarter.
All right. Well, you've got my attention on the
Yeah, I
Kickstarter
was
now.
just gonna
Yeah.
say.
And pay attention. It's like, do you like games like Robo Rally, Mechs vs. Minions, Quad Heroes, any of those movement type things?
All right, here's the thing. The only one I've ever played, because I've wanted to get my hands on Mechs versus Minions. That would have been my
Yeah.
first. But the Tiny Epic Mechs is the only hidden movement game or not hidden movement game, what a
Programming.
programmable movement that
Yeah.
I've played. And I like
And
that.
do you like it?
So,
So I love programmable movement. I love the chaos that it causes as you perfectly sequence through your puzzle. And then if you get it right, you have the satisfaction of look what I did. And if you get it wrong, you have the satisfaction of like, oh no, things are messed up. And either way, I enjoy programmable movement. So I like all those games. I said I like Robo Rally. I love Mechs vs Minions. I love Quad Heroes. I haven't played Tiny Epic Mechs, but Velocity Vanguard is joining the ranks of these systems where you have to think out several turns in advance. And either way, it's a win.
yeah, my first experience with programmable movement, like I said, I liked it right away. The idea, the chaos that you can cause, just like you said, it was fun to see. It's kind of like when I was a kid, I liked to mix different kind of pops together, mix them up, and then drink it and just like see what happens. That's
so
what this is.
gross.
I get to put all these I get to put all these arrows down in positions, and it was like, oh, let's see what happens now. Like
That's it.
So
That's
I like
basically it.
doing that. All right.
All right, so Brittany,
moving
what's
on.
yours?
Brittany. It's
Yeah.
Brittany's.
So, which one are we on?
We are doing biggest
Biggest
surprise.
surprise.
Sagani.
Oh,
for me
I
was a
still
big
need to play
surprise.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
both
so
of your
that game-
surprises are videos I watched and now want the game.
Yeah, we brought this to the table. It looked really simple. Didn't think there was enough game there. And then we played it, and I instantly wanted to play it again, and again, and again. And every time someone came over, even if they weren't a board gamer, I was like, hey, do you want to try Sagani? So I feel like not only is it a great game for us to play on a night, it could, and it's not like an all-night game necessarily.
Sure.
Like,
It's
you're
a
not gonna bring
light
this out
30,
for
40-minute game.
exactly. So you can play a couple of them and then maybe go to bed if you're tired. But for me, it's kind of like this gateway game for some of the people who are in my
Yeah.
life that don't play a lot of board games, but really want to try to play board games to support us. Not that they necessarily have to. Like, we find it really funny that people think that because we do board game content now, that's all we do. We don't do anything else. So they're always like, bring over a board game or things like that. But I do think that they would enjoy this. This would be a similar game to like Azul. So people
Yeah.
who might be at a pub who maybe are casual gamers who would bring out like Azul and really like it, they would probably really like Sagani.
Now it's
Yeah, and
supposed
as
to
a
be a
result-
sister title to Nova Luna, but we've
As I
never
was saying,
played Nova Luna.
because when I saw your review, I didn't have Sagani, but I did have Nova Luna unplayed on my shelf. And so I pulled that off the shelf, and I really enjoyed it. It's exactly the same category. It's a light 30-minute puzzly game that is immensely entertaining and accessible. And yeah, yeah, I'm looking forward to Sagani as well.
Brittany could be the spokesperson for Sagani. She's just like, ooh, Sagani.
I love it.
It's gotten to the point where it's like, we're gonna play something else.
No,
I like Sagani, but that's all you say. You're like
So
a board game parrot.
my second surprise is going to be one that you might still be able to late pledge. I don't know for sure. This is going to be by Ludus Magnus Studios, same as Black Rose Wars, and this is going to be DEI, Divide et Impera. That was a game, as a Kickstarter I passed on because Kickstarter fatigue, too many, what's it going to bring to the table, what's it going to be so interesting, and it looked gimmicky as well. Both these games, they have in common that they looked like they were a gimmick, and that made me lose a little bit of interest. And DEI specifically has like a 3D map where you have this, it's an area control game where you're fighting for different resources. There is combat and death, but it is fairly minimal. It's mostly about the control aspect of things. And there's this map, wintry region, and then there's these 3D element where the tiles come in like literally two different like height levels, and then you can put bridges across the tiles, so you're navigating both on the lower and the upper levels. And I was like, that's cool, also probably a gimmick. And so I didn't back the game. But then I had an opportunity to play it on TTS with the designer, with Tommaso Battista, the designer of Barrage and designer of DEI, and it was really, really good. If you like games, and the reason I'm saying it's still available is both for the audience as well as for yourselves, because I know you like Rising Sun. I know you like Blood Rage. And this is a game that was very, very solidly fun to play. The area control of it was tight. I've heard from one other person who played it 2 players that they liked it 2 players. I would think it's better at 3 and 4, but it has hand management to a degree. You're constantly upgrading the cards in your hand, so like sort of deck building, but not a deck, more just complete your hand. You go through 4 rounds, moving your area people on the board. You do manage those dual layers of the area control, and it is a gimmick, but it's a gimmick that works. And all of it condenses into a point scoring optimization puzzle with a little bit of combat, a lot of area control, and a lot of powers and abilities, and it blew me away.
This conversation's getting expensive.
It's very expensive. This is the hobby. This is the hobby we live in. It's you hear something, you're like, nope. Okay, fine, bye. Yeah, it's a tough one.
I'm gonna take up smoking. It's cheaper.
It is significantly cheaper. So, moving on to number 5. You just gotta sell more games. You mentioned you get emotionally attached to your games. You always want to just sell them. Keep rotating them.
It's so hard.
It's so hard. I don't.
How many games do you guys have, roughly?
I don't want to discuss.
We've never counted
We've never
because
counted,
then we might have to sell some.
If you have to make a hypothetical guess,
350, 400.
That's pretty decent. So I tend to have a revolving collection of around 200 games that I've played, that I love, and then 50 to 100 unplayed games. Again, I used to be able to keep that number under 50, but it's gotten higher. And so like I keep on rotating them as I play them. Every time I like it, and then great. If I don't like it, I move on. It's all a fun little delve into trying to find that perfect collection of the very best of the best for me, for whatever I consider the best of the best. So, moving on.
An interesting number is how many boxes you got, because like every CMON Kickstarter would be like 12.
You know how a second ago you didn't really want to answer the question? Let's move on from this. So, what's it called? So, question number 5, and this is a big one, the last question of both lists. What are you looking forward to in 2021? I wonder if our answer is the same, actually. I think it might be. What is your answer?
Oh, I'm intrigued.
Well, we have two. We have two.
Okay.
We have two.
And we agree on both.
We agree on both. Yeah. So our first one, and here's the thing. I'm going to put a caveat on this. We're picking what we're most looking forward to in 2021, but we did 2 videos about what we're looking forward to in 2021, so we picked things that are not on that video. Because on both
you're referring to a game. Oh, well, I didn't take this as gaming.
Well,
No, let us finish.
Okay, go ahead.
So the two, there are a few things. So what we're looking forward to, our number 1, and that's why we have 2 things. Our number 1 is cons.
Conventions is mine.
Yeah, we are looking forward to conventions opening up, for the love of God.
We miss all our board game friends, and we miss talking to the publishers and testing new games and waiting.
I can't say I miss this. I've never done this stuff, but I want to do this stuff. Conventions is what I am looking forward to in 2021. 100%.
We feel really blessed that we were able to go in 2019 to a few of them, and I feel like we would have been so disappointed if we didn't do it, and because we had that experience, now we're like itching to get back to it because they were so much fun, and we met
Oh
so many
man.
great people, and we built so many wonderful relationships, and we just want to see
It's
people
so it's
again.
so much fun. Like when I go there, I don't even necessarily always want to play board games. Like I don't mind doing it either, as long as there's good people and good conversation. Because I just everybody's so great,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
just love just being with people, like sitting down, having a drink, chatting, and then we'll play board games. Then we'll
Waiting in
chat, and then
lines to get the
it's
exclusives.
great.
That's my fave.
It's so good. I love cons to begin with, and now that I'm in the board game convention, like in the board game scene and going to
Space.
board game
Yep.
conventions, I love it even more.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So like, one of the things that like I hated about 2020 is the fact that we missed all those, and we had like 5
Yeah.
cons booked,
Yeah.
like hotels, Airbnbs, everything was booked, and then we lost it all. And the reason we have 2
man.
on the list is because we had that, and the other one is a game.
What's the game? I actually think of a game for
The
myself
game-
too. What's the game?
The game is Terraforming Mars: The Ares Expedition.
Okay, good. So I'll do the same for mine. Okay, good. Not that one. Something else. So, have you played the Ares Expedition yet?
I've read the rule book.
You've read the rulebook. Okay, so I just reached out to Stronghold yesterday when I found out that this was a thing for the first time, thanks to somebody's Instagram post. Not you. Totally you. Totally you. So I saw this thing and I was like, oh my gosh, I have no clue what's happening. But like, I love how they're like beautifully illustrated cards. I'm like, okay, good. We'll talk. But I am so interested in this, just because whenever we have a hype property, I'm a little bit expecting to be let down just in case. But I love Terraforming Mars. It's one of my favorite games. I think it's my 3rd favorite game of all time. Right behind Blood Rage and Innis is Terraforming Mars, and I could debate some of that order honestly. But it is such a good game, and I am very excited for that one.
Well, yeah. So as soon as
I feel like I just spent
heard,
a while talking about your game. Go ahead.
well, we
It's so exciting.
it's funny. We stumbled on that early because I started investigating Terraforming Mars, the dice game.
Yes, which
Right?
I've seen
Somebody
things
brought
from
it-
you too.
Yeah, somebody brought us to our attention, and I was like, well, I want to know more. So I put that video out. I was like, basically, this is all the information I've collected off the internet, but there's not a lot out there. But tomorrow, if all goes well with my editing tonight, right after this video, tomorrow, what's the date tomorrow? The 13th.
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 Yeah.
So 13th at 9:00, we are releasing a video on Terraforming Mars, the dice game, and we're going to get all the answers because we have one of the designers that worked on it talking to us and answering all our questions. So
Nice. And by the way, that means too, when you're watching this, head on over to the channel now because that's passed
Yes.
already and it's already up
Yeah.
by the time you're watching this. So head on over
Yes.
to BoardGameCoffee in case you want all that already.
So yeah, if you want to know what's going on with Terraforming Mars dice game, because that game was like there was information about that like a while ago. Like it was supposed to come out like last year, and but they just kept working on it, and then it was it was pushed back because now we got another Terraforming Mars game. So dice is just going to be delayed a bit. So it'll either come out in 2021 or be pushed to 2022. So this is a really early look on the dice game.
So for me, I'll throw in a. So go ahead.
I said, but I can't wait to get to the Ares expedition. Like, oh my god, like I want to talk about it so bad, but damn embargoes.
Yeah. So for me, I'll throw in a board game as well. I didn't initially have this on my list, but it is one I'm very excited about. And there are a lot of games I'm excited about that are coming at Kickstarter in 2021. But because I've been recently involved with a particular one, I am a little bit more excited about that one just because it's front and center in my mind. And that's going to be Primal: The Awakening, which is not even on Kickstarter yet. It's coming to Kickstarter January 19th, although yet is relevant depending on when you watch this video. But it's not going to come to Kickstarter January 19th, and it's by Reggie Games. It's their second game, and it is a boss battling experience, but that's very heavily card focused, that building out a deck. Like if you've played Marvel Champions, if you've played any deck system where you have to try to manage your resources and your cards, you draw like a whole hand of cards every round. They have to use those cards both as your currency to pay for cards, as well as the abilities themselves on the cards. And you're doing all that while managing a boss on this little central sphere that just turns left, right, center. Seems like a dumbed down system, but it really works. It gives you a great degree of tactical depth as your hunters basically just fight off against the monster, because that's all it is. It's not like hordes of minions. It's a single powerful boss that you have to fight over 3 phases, slowly draining its health. Depending on the creature, you might be having to like take out like 100 health with your hunters as you go back and forth and try to manage the creature, draw its attention, attack it from the rear. So there's like a degree of thematic immersion, but also a degree of just building out a deck and card comboing everything. It is one, like, I cover a lot of games, and I do a lot of Kickstarter reviews as well nowadays. And there's a lot that I like. There's some that I like more. Most of them are good, honestly, but there's different degrees of good. And Primal is definitely up there in ones I'm more hyped about. It's a very exciting game for me. I'm very intrigued.
I'm intrigued
I'm
now.
intrigued now.
This is an expensive conversation. You see,
Oh
I,
my
I
gosh. I think we have to limit our conversations.
yeah,
To,
let's do it like once a
certain time,
quarter.
like-
Yeah.
Or we should just have like a dollar sign kind of somewhere up in the corner here, and then as it ticks up, as you mentioned games like ding, Arnak, ding,
Once we get
and
to
just,
zero,
I
we have to
Primal.
stop talking.
yeah.
I think the two of you would really like Primal. Like, really like Primal. I mean, I don't know
Sold.
exactly the things you like and don't like, but have you played Marvel Champions, first of all?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Do you
We
like
really
it?
like it.
Yeah, we like. Yep.
Yes.
We do.
Okay,
Very
you
much.
should get Primal. It's all the things you would like about Marvel Champions, but then with a boss battling and miniatures around it as well. My first game was not like it didn't immediately hook me after game one. Game one was like, this is good, but I don't know if I need to spend $100 on it. Good. And then my second game was, I'll spend $100, and my third game was, I don't even know what the all in is like, but I'll just get it. I don't care. I'll get it all. It just progressively got better as I experienced more aspects of it in the prototype. Like, I just put up a review on the channel today. Again, today being a relative date depending on who's watching what. But it's really one that I'm incredibly excited for. I don't know if it's expected in 2021 and 2022, but whenever it is, I'm excited. Yep.
I'm
And
now
that-
excited.
That I don't know. Well, after this video, check out the Kickstarter page. It will pull you in. It's a draft right now. It's not even up yet, but it's a draft. But it'll definitely pull you in. But that's basically a wrap. That's going to be 5 questions on this channel, 5 questions on Board Game Coffee. We watched over again. Links down below to head on over to those. I will do the same thing you did to me with expecting no answer either. Any interesting last words?
Interesting last words. No, they would
You
all
see?
just be
You see?
rambling nonsense.
That's how I felt. So I just I'll just say more board games. But yeah, no, 2020 was an interesting year. It's a tough one for sure. A lot of people affected in a lot of different ways. Definitely degrees of hard. It's a hard year. It's a hard year in many
It was
different
a
ways.
really hard year.
Yeah, I think we got out mostly unscathed, but there's still degrees of challenges of like the social element of managing different things. There is additional financial responsibility in different ways of just managing, trying to be at home while doing different things. Everything is a challenge, and
Yep.
I'm looking forward to 2021, not with the magical expectation that things will turn some magical corner, but with the hope that like the vaccine's got to help in some way. The amount of drama and different things popping up should be calming down. I imagine. I don't know, but I just hopefully
hope
2021
so.
will be better. I don't think
Yeah.
it's gonna be flipping a switch, but I think on a whole it will be better. We'll see.
And I hope we get cons back. I hope
Yes.
we get cons back.
That'll be part of the better part. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mark, Brittany, Board Game Coffee, it's been a pleasure having you here. Again, one last call to everyone else. If you haven't watched part 1, make sure to check it out on their channel. But past that, this was a thoroughly enjoyable conversation, and I look forward to the next one.
Ditto.
Us too.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.